You have so far used so many ways, or many kinds of energy, in the most kind of efficient way.
Well,
I don't heat or
That's what is interesting about renewable energy, and which differentiates from traditional energy production, nuclear, but also fossil energy. That it's not only decentralized from where it is produced, but also the ways in which it is produced are different. The ways how it is used is also different. And that, of course, explains also the resistance of industry and big companies against it. But because for a big company, it's much easier to have a big unit which can be managed easily by one system than to work with a very decentralized system with lots of customers and lots of consumers. And
so local economy is also vitalized in that way.
Yes, indeed.
And also, what's interesting is that you formed, your government called for international society to form a kind of a renewable energy club. So the countries join and to discuss such kind of.
Indeed, of course, we are very open and we are very hopeful that will have many partners in this policy, and inside the European energy market, we have some automatic equilibrium. So that in Europe, we have a joint electricity grid. So every EU country feeds into this grid, and automatically electricity that is produced in France, in Poland, in Denmark, in Italy, can be used in Germany and vice versa. So this is indeed quite a good situation for us, because we can rely on partners and they can rely on us. But of course, we would like to have many other countries to join in this Energiewende, as we call it, this turn to policies for renewable energies. But we always underline that this is a national decision. So France, which is very pro-nuclear, I mean, it is their right to be pro-nuclear. So we don't mingle in these affairs. This is a national decision. So of course we're happy, and we would be happy in the case of Japan to work together on renewable energies, maybe also phasing out of nuclear energy, etc. But of course we respect completely the national sovereignty and authority on these questions. But personally, I think there's a lot of possibilities in the future in cooperation in this field. And as I said, I'm encouraged by all these solar panels which I see scattered on the private houses in Japan. I think there's a lot of potential. It looks like in Germany.
Where have you been there?
My last hike was in Yanagawa, which is behind.
Kyushu?
No, it's behind Takao-san.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Takao-san, I see.
Behind, it's 4 stations behind Takao-san, and I was walking around. It's a very lovely place. I love the the Japanese landscape and countryside, and I was flabbergasted that every second house has this solar panel on the roof.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
Also, Nagano Prefecture also, people are really enthusiastic having solar energy by themselves. It's interesting. And also, I have to think that you have, in Japanese media, sometimes they say Germany is easy to promote renewable energy because you can be supported by France or neighboring countries if you face electricity shortages. But I told them, your country also, as a result, export to other countries. Even France has to buy something. So when the nuclear energy is not always kind of super, they also have to depend on many other sources.
Well, living in the European Union has so many positive aspects in every direction, be it economically, be it the freedom of travel and the freedom of the moving of goods, etc., etc. And certainly one of the good aspects is also to have a joint energy market. So this reinforces our support, our support. And as you said, I mean, we are selling energy on this market and we are buying energy on the market. And it's just a part of this whole interactive system of supporting each other. Yes, it's true. And this, of course, makes it more difficult for Japan, because Japan is an island nation, so you have to produce your own
And
energy.
also, within Ireland, each area, like a Kanto or TEPCO, Tohoku power company, divided. They really had a kind of a social help or mutual help system. So finally, after the Fukushima, they try to develop such kind of mutual help system. So very closed market. So the problem. So, and also, Russia really wants to sell us natural gas. And as you know, so your former Chancellor Schroeder and Putin agreed to have a kind of North Line.
Yes.
Gas line, gas pipeline.
Yeah.
And so Russia really wants to sell. But so far, Japanese government is kind of so far reluctant to respond to it.
Talking so much about renewable energy, I don't want to give the impression that we don't have any traditional energy anymore. And as you mentioned, we are also a big gas consumer. We have several pipelines, Southern Pipeline, North Pipeline, which links us to the big gas producing country like Russia. And we have so far made good experiences with Russia, even with the former Soviet Union, because this kind of trade started a long time before Russia was born out of the crumbling of the Soviet Union. And it's a way of linking us with Russia and having a constant economic common interest, which is a good thing. So I mean, Russia is far away from becoming a member of the European Union, but it is closely linked in various economic activities. It's a member of the European Parliament, not the European, but the European Council. The European Council. So Russia is also a European country, and we try to integrate it whenever we can.
Quite interesting. And also, when I often listen to what Chancellor Merkel said, she said by promoting renewable energy and abolishing nuclear plant, she said Germany will have more energy independence. And also, the German industry would lead in the environmental technology that is needed for 21st century world.
This is, I think, a very important aspect. We are convinced that the future lies within renewable energy. It's not only that we think that nuclear energy is too dangerous and the final depository problem is unsolved, etc., etc., but it's also the link to climate change. It's also the link to a sustained energy policy. We think that renewable energy in every aspect, solar, biofuel, wind power, is indeed the future of energy policy, and step by step other nations will follow in that. And so we are of course eager to build up this market and to build up this economic and industrial knowledge and know-how in this sense, to be an economic player in this field in the future.
Yes, thinking of that whole policy you have pushed for years, this, as you mentioned, the non-nuclear policy has been discussed for many, many years, and the Green Party got growing because in the process of discussions. And anyway, like that, and so quite you have a kind of a comprehensive energy policy, not only the particular kind of technology, but as a whole environment and also how to vitalize whole Germany to village, town to town. So such a broader-minded kind of a very big scale kind of strategic thinking. I feel as a Japanese. Just as a journalist, I compared what kind of discussion we are going on. We have now here in Japan, and when I look to your country, and of course mostly from internet and the newspaper and ZDF and ARD, that I feel such kind of big difference. But also, I told them here, time to time, place to place, whatever you still, some people still obsessed to the nuclear industry, but think there is a big problem waiting. If you like or not, it will come. How to restore safely for a long time the nuclear waste and spent fuel, which is very, very toxic, with poisonous, not only to the local people or human beings. So even the big spacious country in the states can't find final solution place. So I heard in Germany you have chosen many places, but still you haven't found a kind of final place to restore. And in Europe, Finland, they decided to have a kind of a underground storage site. I think 600 meter depth of the ground for 100,000 years. So thinking, hearing the experience of your country, now what kind of solution are you thinking?
Yes, indeed, when you talk about nuclear energy and the consequence of nuclear energy, what comes first to mind is the risk of nuclear accidents, and that was what finally triggered our change in energy policy in 2011 after Fukushima happened. But indeed, the longer-term problem is the final depository of nuclear waste. And we are only now able to look consequently and systematically for a final depository, because only now we have reached this social consensus about phasing out nuclear energy. Before that, the final depository and where it would be built was a part of this ongoing quarrel between nuclear protagonists and nuclear enemies. So we had this place called Gorleben. Gorleben was for many years considered by pro-nuclear parties to be a suitable final depository. And Gorleben has become a symbol for the anti-nuclear movement, for not having a place where this final depository will be built. So you probably have seen these TV pictures of people who stage demonstrations, the farmers against. All this is part of this quarrel. So only now now that we have this consensus to phase out nuclear energy, everyone agrees, well, we have this nuclear waste, now we have to do something with it. We just can't forget about it. And so it's only now that we have this systematic approach where we have identified 4 different sites where we will do experimental diggings, whether like in Finland this is a suitable deposit, because indeed you have to find a place where you can stack this this material for 100,000 years, and that's something which normally for human beings is not a time frame in which we think. We think about 10 years or 20, 30 at the maximum, but who can imagine 100,000 years? So it's quite a new and very difficult search, and well, what we have found so far, Gorleben or Asse, which is a very early depository, which now turns out to be completely unsuitable because it's a salt mine, and what we have stuck there so far in the early 60s and 70s is starting to corroding and have to be retaken and put into a different depository. Now we are in this process. This is another aspect of the challenges of our energy policy, which is by no means resolved. But I'm nevertheless optimistic, because the precondition which hindered us for such a long time to find a depository was this quarrel. Now this quarrel is finished. Now we had a consensus decision by the government, by the opposition, by the Bundesrat, by the Bundestag, that we will now do this systematic search. And on the basis of this consensus, I'm optimistic that we will identify one depository, and we will eventually bury it under the safest conditions possible.
Yeah, if you like it or not, or you have to do it here in Japan too. Nobody likes it that very nearby.
Yes.
But you have to do it.
Someone has to take it, indeed.
So now, such kind of a storage site problem or issue is a kind of a international issue. Wherever you have a nuclear reactor, you have to have this problem. So, thinking of that, nuclear industry, you are lucky that could abolish as soon as possible compared to those countries. Also, your neighboring country, Denmark and Austria, are very, very lucky.
Yeah, but it is a national problem. So every country has to have its own depository. So it's like with garbage. You should not export your garbage to your neighbors. You have to care about your own garbage, and in that sense, you have to care about your own nuclear waste. But indeed, it's a good thing that this waste at least will not increase anymore, because once we've finished with our last nuclear plant in 2022, then this will be it. So we know it will be so and so many tons, and it will be so and so many barrels, and then it's finished.
Yes, and also to get the goal, we also have another problem: how to abolish, how to decommission the nuclear reactor after operation stopped. So you have already done a kind of Greifswald, and others also sites. So it may take years, and also
it will not only years, but it takes decades. So Greifswald and the other nuclear reactors in the former GDR, former East Germany, they were shut off immediately after unification. So in 1989,
very good
that was the first thing because they were intrinsically more dangerous and less secure. These were Soviet-built nuclear reactors, so were much less secure than the ones we had in West Germany. So they were shut off immediately, And still, we are still in the process of decommissioning them. I mean, we have, of course, pulled out the nuclear rods, and they are stored at the site. But also these nuclear rods, where should we bring them? We have to identify a final depository first. So until we have that final depository, I mean, those rods, which are radioactive, are at the site of those plants. We have, of course, started to decommission completely Greifswald, but also others. I mean, those nuclear reactors we already put offline in West Germany, like Kalkla.
Oh, I see.
But it's a long process, and still in Greifswald they are still busy in doing this. And it's not only the fuel rods which have to be decommissioned, but it's the whole building. It's the reactor building itself. It's all what is inside the containment. It's the water pipes which run through the whole system. So even without a nuclear accident, these nuclear plants are highly dangerous and sensitive installations which have to be decommissioned with much prudence, and which is very expensive. That's, you didn't ask me that question, but that's always one aspect in nuclear energy which the promoters of nuclear energy don't talk about. I mean, it's very cheap to produce nuclear energy when you have a nuclear plant and you just put in the fuel rods and take out the energy. But the main costs come afterwards. It's this depository, it's the decommissioning, it's what are you going to do with the fuel rods. And if you calculate all this, nuclear energy is not cheap at all. Nuclear energy is very expensive, and more expensive than other forms of energy.
Yeah. As a result, we have to pay a lot to really end safely the nuclear industry. And also, by the way, this is a bit another matter, but in thinking of radiation and the effect on human health, international organization of the medical scientists, physicians, IPPNW. And last year, here in Japan, the general meeting of IPPNW was held in Hiroshima. But I have some impression. Japanese IPPNW kind of haven't contributed so much for the people. But on the other hand, after nuclear accident in Fukushima, IPPNW German section, the scientists and the medical doctors are really honest. They often issued advice or warning to Japanese government. So thinking of based on the experience of Chernobyl, and they have been checking the people's health in the area of Belarus and Ukraine and Russia, and they followed carefully. After year and a year after, something new happened, horrible thing happened. And also you said also near Hamburg, there's a nuclear research site which leaked radiation. And also it's a kind of a low level, but people in the town, years later, there were so many kind of health problem, like leukemia, many kinds of organ failure, like that. So they warned the danger of low radiation risk. But Japanese tend to ignore it. So you have never wasted the experience. You really take lesson from the past.
Yeah, thank you for.
No. It's true. It's true, you know.
Thanks very much. I must say, I must admit that I'm not too familiar
Why such
with
kind of attitude
with those findings, but it is true that since Chernobyl, the risks of nuclear energy has always been a big topic in Germany, in the scientific field, but also in the public discussion. So we are sensitive because we had this fallout from Chernobyl, and it was part of our part of this whole movement, which eventually led then to the phasing out of nuclear energy. I think also in Japan there is a very active scientific scene which is dealing with these kinds of problems. It's another field where Germany and would be very happy to cooperate with Japan in the field of radiological protection, etc. And I'm full of trust that Japan will find the right way to solve its own problems. But once again, Germany does not make any prescriptions or
I understand.
We do what we think is right for our situation. We are happy to cooperate with Japan as with other nations in this field, but we are not preaching. We are not preaching.
No. We have also previously we had a discussion on the Russian government newly offered help to solve the Fukushima problem. And so far, Japanese government, I haven't heard any positive response to the offer. And also, right after Fukushima, your government also offered help. And amazingly, even the offer from the U.S. government, they refused first.
I'm not aware of this. I mean, after the 3/11 catastrophe, which was, after all, an earthquake and a tsunami. I mean, most of the death and most of the damage was created by that. So the nuclear accident is only one part of the whole picture. And Germany, as many other nations, as the United States, as we were very active in this help effort, and we were very well received by the Japanese sides. And this effort is going on till today. So we have lots of activities, cultural events. There's still arriving money to support these communities. So this has been a big demonstration of international solidarity towards China. How the cooperation in the field of decommissioning Fukushima and dealing with the consequence of the nuclear accident, how much international cooperation is wanted. Once again, it is a part of the Japanese decision-making process. I read just recently that between Japan and France, there are now negotiations about participation, but I'm not familiar with that. But international cooperation is always good, also in that field.
Yeah, to solve nuclear crisis, we need international cooperation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for a frank discussion.